We now move into the district attorney portion of the afternoon for a couple folks. District Attorney Bock first. Charmaine Bock, one of our candidates. So, Charmaine, our club endorsement is next Monday, the 15th. Is that right?
Yes.
This is the Political Action Committee. So we have a few people here in the room videotaping it for other members to see in between. So this is an introduction, so you'll have a couple of minutes to say anything you want, campaign, anything arts related, or campaign related, it's your choice, and then we'll go into Q&A
Great.
for the rest of that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well, thanks so much. Thanks so much for having me. I actually am honored to be here. Art has been something that's been a big part of my life before I became a prosecutor, and it's something that I am committed to incorporating in my administration as district attorney. A little bit about me. I have been in San Francisco since I was 4 years old. I live in the Richmond district with my husband and my 2 children. After graduating from Georgetown Law School 23 years ago, I went to the Alameda County DA's office, which is recognized as one of the 2 best in the country. I've been there now for 22 years straight. I'm the assistant in charge of special operations and policy development, which means I lead the specialized and elite trial units from human trafficking and exploitation to unsolved murders and rapes, sexually violent predators, sexual assault, public integrity and corruption, forensic interviewing and restitution. We collected over $15 million last year for victims of crime. I supervise extremely experienced trial lawyers as well as their supervisors, and I'm in charge of policy development for the entire office. Now, my experience with regard to policy development, I think, parlays into what's occurring here in the city and what needs to occur going forward. In a time where we have very limited financial resources, I think it's essential for us to unite and come up with organizations which can actually support individual interests in the service of a shared goal. As DA, I'm committed to creating a task force where we bring to the table, for example, artists from the community, agencies that have been dealing with issues that have to do with re-entry, no entry, as well as keeping our children out of the system and adults out of the system in the first place. Art is healing and empowering. My experience with art has been in college. Frankly, the only time I've ever been given money for anything other than most recently in the fundraising effort for this campaign was I got a Richter Fellowship in college, and that was a grant to do art. And I did a retrospective on women as well as an installation piece. And I believe so entirely in art teaches us not just a way of seeing differently and seeing things anew for the first time, but really being able to express our inner voice, which improves the quality of life for everybody. There's art amongst us everywhere, and it shouldn't just have to be in a picture frame hanging on a wall. So I think it's important to make sure we fund not just mainstream art, which many of these organizations already do, but really look to what are we doing to support communities that have historically been marginalized, such as the LGBT community, such as women of color and minority groups. One way in which to do that is to bring everyone to the table, from the Arts Commission to the Grants for the Arts to the Department of Public Works, the police, probation, Sheriff's Department. Bring all of us at the table with local artists as well as with community members so that we can come up with solutions and get funding for not just the art community, but also for programs that support criminal justice reform. We need criminal justice reform in our city, and I think art is a very big part of that answer.
And questions?
Could you talk about, I mean, the Sheriff's Department deals directly with people who are incarcerated, and artists have worked with the Sheriff's Department, but I'm not aware of any kind of relationship, direct relationship with the DA's office. Could you explain how that intersection might happen?
Well, I mean, I think that everyone has a voice at the table in the criminal justice community, and to the extent that people are getting incarcerated or getting diverted from incarceration, an arts program is something that helps everybody. And so we need to get out of our silos. Everyone's really fragmented in terms of a response. So if we have everyone at the table in the first place, then we can have a dialogue that works. I've done that dialogue with regard to children in Alameda County. Whenever a child comes into the system, once a week From 9 to 11, we all meet in the same room, from probation, social services, the public defender, court-appointed lawyer, the DA, health, education. We're all at the same place at the same time so we can actually communicate across lines. And then we have programs that are implemented that incorporate art in them. So for example, children, instead of being criminalized, get diverted and placed in a program where art is a part of their rehabilitation and their therapy. You know, it's very, very powerful, and I think that kids love to draw, but we need to show them that it's not just something that you do to doodle. It's something that can actually be a way in which in the future you can thrive as a community member, as an artist, contributing to the economy. And by bringing artists to the table, we can also ensure that they are a part of the dialogue, because we need to make sure that artists have bread on the table at the end of the day. And not just artists that are in the Museum of Modern Art, but artists that are throughout our community. I went to Michigan in Traverse Bay, and they have an entire loft complex where artists live, where kids come and work, where they have studios. And so it's really important to look at all of the partners at the table so that you can support keeping artists in the city, and you can support keeping people out of jails and provide solutions that are really long-lasting. We talk, for example, about graffiti, right? We've got a big graffiti problem. I've been meeting with the graffiti artists in town. I support legal walls, and my idea with legal walls, however, would be to have a substance that you can take off, and every 3 months you auction that off so that the artist gets money. A percentage of that money can go to fund the program and to create public-private partnerships so that the cans are donated. And now you have to pay $1,500 under the Arts Commission program, Street Smart. That's an unfair cost, I think, on the building owner that's already being vandalized. Rather, let's give them an offset, a tax break, something to encourage more people to give walls. And then we can send the message that art actually pays. We can auction that art off. The artists benefit, and they're called mosquito bites, the people that vandalize and tag, so that the mosquito biters then realize that that does not pay, to create an incentive for people to get involved in programs that are actually constructive rather than destructive. You look at the hearts that we have that came out with San Francisco General Hospital around the city. I'd like to see more of that, but that's represented not just by mainstream artists, but by all kinds of artists, incorporating with it people that are having a nexus to the criminal justice system. I intend to have a grant writer on staff in my administration, and to have a coalition where we can get funding for organizations like you, for individual artists, and have you partner with children, with people that are within the criminal justice system as adults as well, so that everyone benefits, so that you don't have to do it for free, so that you can also be leaders and a part of the solution. Because if we keep San Francisco safe, we keep families in San Francisco, we keep business in San Francisco, we keep artists in San Francisco. It's a thriving arts community, and I'd like to see it as such going in the future.
Any more questions?
Two controversial issues in the state, and specifically in San Francisco, especially lately: medicinal cannabis, the sort of schizophrenic relationship that all the law enforcement agencies have. Your thoughts on what you would do with your department, and also care not cash and quality of life issues through the DA's office and what you will charge, etc.
So with regard to medical cannabis, I have the support of many in the medical cannabis community. I believe that personal use is a healthcare issue, not a criminal issue, and that we need to look at larger solutions, such as why is marijuana in Schedule I of the federal crimes? And that's really the crux of the problem that we have. I think my commitment to solving this problem so that we can actually grow and transport as well as provide medical marijuana is why I have the support of individuals such as Terrence and Brendan Hallinan, who are a part of that community. In addition, with regard to quality of life crimes, I think it's very important not to further marginalize communities that have issues such as homelessness and mental health issues that are a part of their lives. And so Political hot button measures I don't think historically work. I think we need long-lasting concrete solutions that work in the long range. And again, that is about this kind of a dialogue. At the same table where we can come up with community solutions so that everyone's interests are met.
Very quick.
Okay. Doing some research, I've noticed that there's some discrepancies between the planning department's interpretation of what's arts and allowed usages and the police department's definition of what might require an entertainment permit, being one that helps facilitate space for a lot of fundraisers for various arts groups. Is there ways that could be positively addressed to try and have more allowances for arts-based or nonprofit fundraisers that may not meet the stringent requirements of the entertainment permits?
Well, you know, I'm always been one to think outside the box. I remember doing an installation piece and a performance art piece a long time ago in college when people didn't think that was art. And I don't believe that art is just what's in a picture frame. You know, I understand that an organization that had a dance in the city is now moving to the East Bay, and I can't understand why we just can't find a place in San Francisco for everyone to dance. And in the parks, I think they're everyone's parks, so we should be able to have a broader definition that is all-encompassing. We don't ever want to get one-dimensional and tunnel vision. And I think the best of San Francisco is precisely that. We're a city that has progressive values. It's important to recognize, however, that having just the right ideas doesn't get you there. You need to have the right kind of experience to implement those ideas. I have participated in a lot of legislative efforts, not just in Sacramento, but I've also been asked to testify in Washington, D.C. in the U.S. Senate, in Hawaii, as well as in Georgia, on various forms of legislation. So I'm committed to doing what it takes to make sure that terms that need to be defined broadly so that they're all-encompassing and don't exclude communities. Again, LGBT communities, communities of color, women, and artists that are not, quote, in the mainstream. We need to have broader definitions so that everyone has a voice, because really art is about that. It's about showing us that it exists everywhere, and there's no one definition.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.